enchantments, which use fading counters to exile creatures and lands until they leave the battlefield, at which point there's a triggered ability that returns all the permanents that are exiled by either Wave or Tide. And Opalescence turns all other enchantments into creatures. So by having all of these 4-mana enchantments in play, you assemble a combination of cards which allows you to put activations of Parallax Wave on the stack, targeting your opponent's creatures and or lands, in the case of Parallax Tide, and then to exile your own Parallax Wave in response to cause the leaves the battlefield trigger to be put on the stack before the exile activated ability of targeting your opponent's creatures and land resolves, which causes those creatures to be exiled permanently. In the case of Parallax Tide can be exiled by Wave, which
Oh, double blessings trigger here.
oh wow, yep, we got 2 blessings here. Which allows you to exile all your opponent's creatures and lands. I spent a really long time explaining this combo, which goes to show how unfair this can seem if players are not familiar with it.
Yep, absolutely. And AAU in chat, yes, right now it's mirrored. Not all the kinks are working out. We'll work on it in between the lines, but it is lined up with player now. Sam Black should be on the left of your screen with Aaron Dix on your right. Life totals we're just going to have to deal with. We'll deal with it later. But essentially replenish the stack Understander's deck in many ways. Now, this...
You can go pretty far without understanding the stack.
Absolutely. It is definitely not one intuitively that you would just pick up and just go a lot of times. Neither of these decks really are. Who, now that we kind of know these matchups, the card Parallax Tide has to be insane in this matchup. Obviously, for Aaron, is probably his real route to victory to limit Sam's resources, correct?
I 100% agree, Will. I think the fact that Sam doesn't have a Mox Diamond in his draw does leave him a lot more vulnerable to Parallax Tide. It's also notable that Sam's deck does play a fair number of lands, but those lands need to be either on the battlefield or in the graveyard in order to be shuffled back with Gaia's Blessing. If they get exiled with Tide, that permanently decreases the number of cards or the number of lands that are available in Sam's deck, which could be relevant if this game goes super long.
Completely understood. All right. Have you experienced playing any of these decks on your own at all?
I have played a little bit with and a fair bit against Replenish. Sam's deck I haven't had the opportunity to face as of yet, but it makes sense that this game is going already, 5 turns without really many spells being cast. Aaron gets to sculpt a combo turn, while Sam, makes land drops, activates Scroll Rack every turn.
All right, guys, we have it flipped around. Sorry about that. It is no longer mirrored. Players are on the right side. I am a smart human being. That's why I do all this cool stuff. So a lot of draw go here. We see the card Attunement. Attunement, one of those cards that people have in the past argued a lot about with Replenish needed, not needed. I am of the opinion that Replenish is a much better deck with Attunement. And what are your thoughts on kind of that versus maybe taking it out for something like, I don't know, impulses, more other things?
Yeah, you do see some decks adopt cards like Frantic Search as opposed to Attunement, which allow you to go up on mana with your soul lands. The advantage of Attunement, I think, is the ability to really sculpt your hand and graveyard to find the exact right set of cards in your deck to execute that perfect combo turn to put all of the Parallax enchantments and Opalescence into play, and also to back that up with Disruption, either in the form of something like main deck Mana Leaks. We could pull up Aaron's deck list on our end just to take a look and see what kinds of tools he has access to.
I don't think he
hasn't submitted as of yet.
This guy.
But generally, Attunement is just the engine card that lets this deck hum. You dig your way to Replenish, you cast Replenish, the game ends. And there's not a lot your opponent can do, especially in game 1. Attunement is templated in such a way that it's pretty resilient to disenchant effects because you can return it at instant speed as a cost.
Exactly. I mean, so we see a lot of spells being cast, a lot of things being done. We've seen multiple mulches going on from Sam. Sam loves nothing more than a great Gaia's Blessing deck and a scroll racky sort of thing, which I think went away because of I'm not sure if a seal got a scroll rack or what happened, but
Yep.
who, what can Sam do you think, to really combat what Aaron is trying to set up?
Yeah, I think Sam's plan in this game is to resolve an Armageddon and have a bunch of lands in hand to back it up.
Okay.
Aaron is going to ultimately be constrained on mana in his ability to execute on the replenish combo and then back that up. And so we see
That's an abeyance.
cycling in abeyance just to try and force Aaron to pass the turn. Abeyance, Will, does abeyance stop all spells, or is it just instant sorceries and interrupts?
It's instant sorceries and interrupts is correct, yes. So
And activated abilities
and activated
relevantly,
ability,
which is
correct.
very relevant in this matchup.
Yes.
Because all of the parallax enchantments have activated abilities.
Agreed. Yep. It's a underrated card that does so many things against so many decks, as well as cantripping to get a card.
Yep.
You could see the play of, as you alluded to, Aaron plays a parallax effect in which Sam says abeyance in response and then can freely blow up said thing that comes into play with an effect. So that's a way to do it. But I agree that an Armageddon could go a very long way. Both decks essentially are at their root an LD almost deck a lot. Control your opponent's resources. Looks like another abeyance was cast to resolve that scroll rack.
Yeah, I wonder how many abeyances Sam has in hand. Maybe, I wonder if Sam has yet another abeyance in hand. Considering that's the primary way that Sam fights the replenish combo in game one. You need some kind of disenchant effect, plus the abeyance. Also, Swords of Plowshares in some cases.
Exactly.
The combination of Swords of Plowshares and abeyance also stops the replenish combo because Parallax Wave becomes a creature with Opalescence. And with the Swords of Plowshares, you can send the wave into exile.
Absolutely. We're good. We're some good peoples over here. We're just adjusting things a little bit, but yeah, it's gonna be a intricate matchup. And is this a matchup of whoever makes the first big play, such as this?
Yep. So that's what we're talking about. This is going to be a pivotal moment in the game. If Aaron doesn't have a meaningful response to this Armageddon, we're going to see. Oh, Factor Fiction is a perfect reply here.
Okay, so how do you think you split this one?
Well, the Plowshares is basically not a card, so yeah, I like the split a lot. You just split out the mana. You split out mana, which is going to be relevant here. I think I don't know if there's a relevant breakpoint around casting multiple spells for Aaron, but that Sky Cloud's not particularly valuable. So all those lands go to the bin.
So a notable thing that's interesting in this matchup is, both players have now reset. Sam has the card Gaia's Blessing, which lets him recycle back in the resources, whereas, Aaron only has a select number of lands he can truly play, and not even just lands, colored sources.
Yep. Yeah, that's a great point, Will. Yeah, there's an aspect to when your deck has Gaia's Blessing, you can play a game that is as long as possible, as long as necessary, right? But Aaron will eventually run out of sources to cast his spells.
Yep. Both players resetting. Would be safe to say that I think Sam is in a more dominant position with hand size, with that scroll rack going, and it looks like we're going to see the aforementioned blessing. The first, I as a lover of blessing myself in weird decks, it obviously fits well in this. Is the first blessing isn't really the one that hurts, but the second blessing hurts, and then the third, because the fact that you can shuffle in all that gas when you as the opponent are just sitting there like, well, I got the cards I have.
Yep.
It's it. I still, it shouldn't be said, but I still think people as a card underestimate Gaia's Blessing in any green deck in general.
I agree. Yeah, the ability, even though it seems incremental, the ability to put 3 cards back in your deck meaningfully affects the range of cards that you can draw in a game. And also, the 4 of rule instituted, back in the old days, 30 years ago.
Them olden days.
That puts a limit on the range of draws you can have, right? Once you've drawn your 4 copies of Swords to Plowshares, you're out of Plowshares. This is really relevant in formats like Old School, in which those have very specific targets that you're imagining lining up against in a long game of Magic. And that's kind of where we're at here, too, right? Aaron was willing to play as long game as possible, pick his spot to try and go for the combo. But that Armageddon is, reduced his access to the resources he needs to such an extent that, this game has swung quite far in Sam's favor. Do you think, Will, that we're going to see a point, if Sam is in a commanding position, do you think we're going to see a premature concession before the Treetop Villages start coming in?
So. I mean, Aaron is one of the most experienced pre-modern players you're going to find, and he knows well, what his limits are. Can I come back from this? Is there a chance? And in a timed round, which this is, I mean, it is a consideration. So, yeah, I would not be surprised if something is just evident to Aaron that he's like, okay, game 2, let's get it done. I would not be surprised by that at all. There is, again, a Mox Diamond for Sam, followed by another Blessing. So Sam's deck in full doing what it's supposed to do, land. That Mox Diamond making him resilient to a Parallax Tide as well. So I would have to say, if there were an advantage bar, it is pointing towards Sam at the moment.
100%.
But no, as these guys are kind of going through the motions, really, really interesting field today. All sorts of decks, lots of variety. Really, really excited to see how this day progresses. We got 5 wonderful rounds leading into the top 8.
Yeah, speaking of just the state of this game, too, I do want to, I think it's worth calling out that, if Aaron has a white source in hand and draws a replenish.
Yep. It's all bets are off.
We saw Tides go in the yard. Do you remember if there was an Opalescence in the yard?
I think
we at 3 of 3 or 2 of 3?
I think we are. I think we are at 2 of 3, but I would not be surprised if we're at 3 of 3. And that play in and of itself will shift things, because if you have the trifecta in play, it means you never have a creature or a land in play again, to make it very simple, as long as the person's doing things right, which is how Sam's deck can function less. However, what might really matter, as well as he needs to also find...
This game is over.
There's another one. Yeah, that's unfortunate. But those Mox Diamonds making a huge difference, meaning he has to find those seals to take care of the other mana sources. So
Sam needs to put his lands in his lands in the graveyard.
1 second. I will be right back.
Yep. Yeah, we got it.
I didn't have to get up. They got it. We're good.
Our Armageddon may feel super asymmetrical in this matchup, but it is in fact a symmetrical effect.
Yes, indeed it is. But as I was saying, so that is a card that everybody needs to be working on more. Should have been something like Tithe.
Yeah.
Is a
Talk
card.
about Tithe. What does Tithe do?
Tithe lets you search for a Plains card. Obviously, just basic Plains in this case. But if your opponent has more lands than you, it functions essentially like a one of land tax, because I think, is it 1 or 2 planes?
It's 2 planes if they have more.
If they have
also,
more.
notably, Tithe is an instant.
Yes.
And there are certain instantaneous points in the game in which you're going to have fewer lands than your opponent. In particular, when you activate Wasteland, or when you activate a fetch land.
Yes, indeed. Exactly. And a really parfait in which Sam is playing a variant of, has been looking for that replacement for land tax, which whether you love it or hate it, it bit the dust. People said no, no, no to that card anymore. And Tithe is one of those ones, along with something like a Gush or what is this thing that lets you if the White Oath of Druids, it lets you go search a land.
Oath of Lieges.
Oath of Lieges.
I think there are some folks in chat who are huge Oath of Lieges enjoyers.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think part of the parfait problem is finding sufficient sources of card advantage. In Sam's deck, there's basically eight cards that are expected to be draw twos in the form of Tithe and then Mulch. Mulch, of course, looking at the top 4 cards of your library, putting any number of lands from them into your hand, and then the rest in the graveyard. If you drafted original Innistrad, you would probably remember this card. But yeah, this game, I think Aaron can start to think about the door being shut in this game once he can be reasonably sure that Sam has the combination of Abeyance plus Swords to Plowshares, which allows Sam to respond to respond to Replenish by Abeyancing, and then because the combo is turned off by Abeyance, Swords to Plowsharing the Parallax Wave. At that point, there's really not a lot of angles that Aaron would have on the game. So I think this game is rapidly slipping away.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, guys, I had to step away for a second. We have an amazing team, me, Fritz, and Noah working together. But I would agree that, again, the second Armageddon with 2 Mox Diamonds is really just, it is going to be hard for Aaron to really start pushing forward much of anything.
Yep. Like you said earlier, Will, this game is a battle over mana.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. And right now it would appear that Sam has that one, or it well in hand, I would say. That's not it. That's a tracking number. So,
To JP's question in the chat, I think we have 11 tables right now, so that's 22 players.
absolutely, and 22 and one person with the lucky and or unlucky buy. Why did I said that to you too?
And for those of you who are watching longingly from home, wishing you could be here playing Pre-Modern, well, your opportunity will come. As announced earlier today, this is going to become a monthly series.
Mm-hmm.
So if you missed the last harvest, then you can catch the
As to be named
December, and then our creative team is hard at work on the future, the names for the future tournaments in the series. I'm noting that Sam has 4 Mox Diamonds in play, which is the maximum number of Mox Diamonds one can have in play at any given point in a game of Pre-Modern. It also means that Sam has discarded 4 lands to these Mox Diamonds. I would also like to note that Sam still has 5 cards in hand, which tells you about the amount of card advantage the cards Mulch and Tithe are able to generate.
I sent the link in Discord to make you an admin, so. All right, sorry. But I am trying to imagine, because Aaron is a much smarter player than me, the angle he is going for. Like, it would make a lot more sense if they were both just on lands, but with all the Mox Diamonds in play, I am struggling without knowing how many seals might be in his yard. I'm struggling to see the path forward here.
I agree. Yeah, you somehow need to have more parallax. I think it's about having more parallax waves in your yard than Sam could possibly have of Plowshares or Disenchants from hand.
Mm-hmm.
Because of that effect, and now we're just okay. We're just looping. We're just looping Armageddon,
yeah, there it
and
is.
there's the big game's over. Aaron is
Absolutely.
never getting to 4 mana,
Absolutely.
and that's game one. Interesting. Watching that game. Imagine that was the first pre-modern game you ever watched.
It's, there are some people who would really be like, that is my jam, and then there are some people who are like,
Did they print creatures back then?
sometimes when you see some of the decks, you really do wonder. You really, really wonder. But we saw the effect of how powerful a lot of these cards are from back in the day. But even with their power level, it took us a while to get to that point, right? It's
Exactly.
not this instantaneous turn 1 or turn 2.
Yep.
We're done. But now it's we're pushing a little advantage here, we're pushing a little advantage there. Can we find the right way to close out the game and make it so there is no chance? So, really great example. Two great decks, two great players as well. So I have no complaints watching that. I loved it.
It was beautiful. Yeah, and I think both players understood their role really well. There's no beat down. There's no like beat down player clearly.
Right.
There's no player who has to like close the game by a specific turn. Both players have draws that allow them to establish lock states on the game.
Yes.
With Aaron's replenish deck, it's obviously a lot clearer when the game's in a lock state because you have no permanence and you will never have any permanence.
Yeah, no playing for you.
But for Sam, Sam has to decide when to cast Armageddon and when to hold up interaction. I think that's the relevant play. So regardless, it's about 4 mana spells. For honest, the format maybe in some extent about 4 mana spells, and then on the other end about maybe about 1 mana spells.
It certainly can be. So looking at we do not have Aaron's deck list.
Yep.
But in Sam's deck list, we would assume the Abeyance comes in.
Abeyance is very good here.
Yeah, another Armageddon.
Yep.
Looks like a probably Aura of Silence and Phyrexian. Oh, he's got a lot. He's got some Phyrexian Furnaces. He's got Tranquil Domains. So the reason we're whispering now is due to a switch around in setup. We are slightly closer to the table than we wish to be. So next time we'll have it set up so you guys can actually see the deck list on stream. We are always learning, as all good humans do. But Sam appears to have a lot of things his deck can do. I would assume Aaron also has a sideboarded plan, whether that's trying to go a creature route with Exalted Angel, Abeyances. Who knows? We'll have to see in the next game.
Yeah. What do you think is so looking at the decks? I mean, Aaron's deck and Sam's deck are both on some number of Swords to Plowshares. I assume all of those come out. They could be relevant in game 1, but you just have better tools in post board games.
I would agree. It'd be interesting with Aaron's deck. Does Aaron bring in like a lot of the European replenish decks will transition into like Meddling Mages and Exalted Angels? So it might depend on any knowledge of how is that transformation happening on Sam's end. Does
That's a
he
great
want
point.
to be prepared for those sorts of things? We don't know. But two great players shuffling up here for game number 2.
Yeah, Meddling Mage really changed the texture of these games.
Meddling Mage is my second most hated creature outside of Xantid Swarm. Xantid Swarm, the bees can all go fly into something.
Now, and when you say hated, these are beloved Magic cards.
Absolutely. They are always beloved unless I play against them, and then they're disliked.
Right.
Because they name things I want to play.
Yeah, Meddling Mage does chant so loud that you can't get the word stasis in edgewise.
As long as I can freeze their brain at some point in the game, it's okay, I suppose.
Yep.
All right, so we're here into game number 2. I would assume that Aaron will be on the play.
Yes, I believe that. Yeah, I believe that Aaron would want to be on the play here. Getting to 4 mana before Sam can Armageddon
Seems nice.
I think that's going to be pretty key.
I agree.
I think both players want to resolve their 4-drop before the other player does.
I agree.
So just leading on a Skycloud Expanse, a wonderful Doctor Who printing.
Ooh. Now that's always a fun topic. Pre-modern has amazing art. The way cards looked back then were completely different than now. But then you also have others who will play whatever card that they can afford, whatever's cheapest. Where do you fall on the spectrum of keeping it pure to keeping it affordable?
So, yeah, I'm a Zoomer.
Okay.
I came of age playing Magic during the like Innistrad RTR standard era, and so I don't have nostalgia per se for any of the particular printings. I
Gotcha.
wasn't playing during the time.
Hmm.
What really draws me to pre-modern is the gameplay. It's the mechanic. It's the mechanics itself.
Yep.
And so, while I do like the look of old cards, I generally prefer them. I don't fault anyone for bringing new cards to any event, and I certainly have a bunch of new border cards. Old border printings are expensive. If you
Yes.
want to pick up if you want to pick up an Odyssey Terravor, or if you want to pick up a Plane Shift Meddling Mage, you're paying a significant premium over the other available versions. And card availability and accessibility, I think, is really important for the format, especially as it grows, it becomes more popular. So I'm fully in support of people, bringing a wide range of printings, and we see that Aaron also has the World Championship decks cards
Absolutely.
featured quite heavily.
Man, I remember those decks. I can't remember what box store it was, if it was a Walmart's or wherever it was, but I remember
That's crazy to me.
seeing them there, and they were like, you go to some of these stores now, um, and you're like, you can tell what sets or what card games are cool by what's left and what's not on shelves. And the World Championship decks were those things that sat on the shelves, had like dust on them forever. And I'm talking like even the Elves one that has like the Gaia's Cradle. And if you just
People,
the closest thing I can imagine is going back and being in know about the Rats deck from Betrayers of Kamigawa having Umezawa's Jitte in it, and
Right.
going to like Targets and buying them.
Well, I mean, even more than GTA is, it doesn't have it's Ink Eyes is the other rare, right?
It was. I mean, and guys,
Gosh. Yeah, they're never. I mean, you can't just put two chase rares in the intro deck, right?
I mean, they obviously
I mean,
underestimated
they
some
did.
things. But
Yeah.
the ability to play the World Championship deck, gold borders, has made this. To be fair, it is when TOs say it is allowed. To be clear for everyone, regardless of what your opinion is, the official rulings for pre-modern is gold borders are allowed at TO's discretion. They are not always legal, so be sure to check with your tournament to make sure.
Yep.
But I do think as a net, they are a good thing, making this tournament very accessible to others. While also like how there was a world championship deck with no Mox Diamond in it, insane to me somehow. But a lot of the major things, your cradles, your
So returning to the game here,
Uh-oh.
it looks like we've just resolved a frantic search,
Yep.
and with that, yeah, we had a floating blue mana. Here comes Parallax Tide.
Tide is
So if this is not responded to, and I don't really know what Sam would have for a single mana, Sam's lands are gonna enter the exile zone.
they are Orm's Chant would be the big thing, but I don't think he runs it.
Chant won't get you out anything there.
Nope.
So we're gonna have a fading trigger.
So this looks like a setup. So he didn't do the things in response to make sure they exile. So he has another plan, whether that's exile land, do other things to essentially reset the Parallax Tide or not. We assume he has a plan, unless this is just a buy for time. But as of now, Sam a bit constrained.
The other card that Aaron might have here is Stifle.
Yep.
To stifle the leaves the battlefield trigger on Parallax Tide.
Absolutely.
But again, like in the first game, a battle over mana is what we've seen, and both players have a 4-mana card that destroys a bunch of lands, and then a plan that involves breaking the symmetry on it. With Tide, Tide is just asymmetrical inherently, and then with Armageddon, you have Mox Diamonds and a higher density of lands and more ways of finding them. So regardless of who ends up dominant, what it's going to look like on the board is one player has lands, the other player doesn't.
Agreed.
Greatest format on Earth.
It is, and it's an interesting one here. He could also let this run out, let it die, and then essentially cast a replenish if he has it. But that does open the door to a already seen, like Sam could have an abeyance, because he will get his lands back.
Yeah, so the way that would work is you would abeyance in response to the fading trigger when there are no counters left on it, which would cause the abeyance. The abeyance would resolve before the leaves the battlefield trigger is put on the stack. You'd be unable to cast a Stifle. So that's a possibility here.
Did they just report one? So yeah, if you go to the match thing, and then reset 0-0, and then you can report it. Yes. right. But no, in many ways, whether you like it or hate it, it's not the only strategy, but a lot of pre-modern does come down to a resource denial game, land destruction, things like that, and I truly enjoy it. Like, yeah, the blowouts don't always feel, great, but
Ooh, let's talk about this intuition here. This is an interesting intuition. So Aaron has intuited for opalescence, parallax wave, stifle. That is interesting.
okay. So I'm assuming he probably has a replenish in hand.
That would make sense. Parallax wave to 0 counters.
Yep, and he was given the wave.
It's important to note that. Um, yep. So that's what we saw here. So Sam is abancing now.
Mm-hmm.
I see. Just cycle. I guess just cycling. Sam doesn't want. So Aaron doesn't want to run out the parallax wave here.
I'm not sure. There's. Okay, so that is such a. Yeah. Okay. The Max Diamond is such a game breaker here. Not only to get under the possible threat of what's going to happen, but also for this play, the Brump, and there it is.
Giddens gone, and on Aaron's upkeep, Sam is going to have 4 lands to his 0.
Yep, and yeah, it's going to be.
And there's a
Sandman
Skycloud Expanse. That's a land that doesn't cast any spells.
Nope, it doesn't even tap for mana, does it?
Nope.
Nope, not at all. Did that link that? Weird. Okay, you do your thing.
Oof. Oh, and this is, yeah, that's it. Sam takes it down in 2 games. A pretty convincing performance by the green-white mulch deck.
Absolutely. All right, guys. So, green white mulch parfait deck doing well. Sam Black picking up the victory over Aaron Dix. We are going to take a very quick break, work on a little backhand stuff, enjoy our waiting screen with the lovely Acorn Harvest squirrels, and we will be back for round number 2 very shortly. All right, guys. Take care.